Welcome to Positive Connections Radio. This is Mike Cook. This podcast is directed towards first responders and others who may be suffering in silence and are fearful to ask for help. You're not alone. You don't have to lose it all in order to get help. Trust yourself, stand up, and break the stigma.
Oh, loud and clear, Lima Charlie.
Good, man. It's good to see you, Manny.
Yeah, it's good to be seen at my age.
Manny G. How you been doing?
Oh, pretty good. We spent pretty much the whole day in L.A. The opposing side on a civil case was supposed to produce an original document, two original documents, and I was supposed to do an examination right there in the hallway, which is not a good thing.
Right.
And so it was one of those wait, and finally they're not going to show up at all. We have to reschedule, yada, yada, yada. And so anyhow, so my wife and I, she always travels with me because, you know, I had those 4 or 5 strokes. So with the strokes, I have to be careful in case anything happens. She'll take care of me.
That's awesome.
But,
she's your companion. You guys been together for how long now?
40, since 76.
Wow.
May 2076.
Well, Manny, thanks so much for being on the show. Your story is something that needs to be shared. I don't think you've been on a podcast before, but I'm proud to have you on here. And the listeners want to hear all about you. And you want to talk about a little bit of your early life and what you're doing now? First of all,
okay.
We're talking about recovery too. So you've been sober for how many years?
I think about 46 and a half, almost 46 and a half years.
That's right.
I've been sober since July 6, 1975. And that particular date, not the year, but the day, July 6, coincides with my dad's death.
Oh.
He died an alcoholic, age 52. And just never, he had one period of sobering up for 1 year. And my grandmother, who would have been his mother, was was the happiest woman on earth because he was just a drunkard.
Right.
But anyhow, he did stay sober for that whole year. And I think that's when we were living in Chino. But because I'm originally from Texas, but my dad and my uncle kidnapped my other brother, who's retired first sergeant, kidnapped him and me from our mother and took us to Chino. And so we went to school there for a while. Our grandmother was there, and then my dad, and my brother and I. So it was 4 of us. And then my grandmother had a very difficult time putting up with my brother and me. So my dad committed us to an orphanage.
So when did this all happen? How old were you when your uncle actually removed you from the house?
I was probably maybe 4,
okay,
3 or 4, and my brother is 15 months younger than I am. That's how young we were. But he eventually took us back to Texas, and I hate to put it this way, but he sort of like dumped us off at my mother's place. So the first recollection of my mother, I was almost 9 years old.
So you got removed from your mom. Your uncle kidnapped you when you were 4?
Yeah, about 4. Mm-hmm.
Why did he do that?
He didn't want us around her at all. He wanted to raise us. But, how does an alcoholic, a practicing alcoholic, raise anybody?
Right.
Or actually, I mean, how do you do that? And by the way, you only raise animals, you rear people.
So he thought he was taking you away from a bad environment. Was
correct?
Your dad was practicing, drunk, and your mom had some issues too.
Right, that's correct. That's correct.
And you went to an orphanage after that?
Yeah, on Friars Road here in San Diego.
Is that before he dropped you back off at your mom's house?
When he took us back, yeah, correct. Yeah, actually, when he took us back to Texas, He actually took us to my aunt's house, and my aunt was married to my uncle. So by marriage, she was our aunt.
Okay.
So that was our first recollection of returning to the environment he didn't want us in. And so that's the first place where we made contact, so to speak. But then I remember my ninth birthday, we were introduced to her, and it meant nothing to me. No, no strings attached.
You see her at 9 years old again, and you didn't have any feelings.
No, none. And as we were growing up, evidently, according to her, she did love us a lot, but we had no feelings for her at all.
Okay. Did you? So after that, you went to the orphanage? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I went to the orphanage. We were there about maybe 2.5 years. And we went to the orphanage under a guise, so to speak. My father told my brother and me, my brother and I, that we were going to go see some horses, and these nuns were going to stop by and take us to ride some horses. So two nuns showed up. They put us in the back seat. Here we are. We're still, oh my God, young, very, very young. But I remember it. I remember the incident. So, so the nuns took off, and we thought we were going to ride some horses, and some significant time passed. So I got concerned. I asked him, "Where are we going?" I asked him because I'm the older brother, and where we were going, unbeknownst to us, we were going to the orphanage. Just the two of us, and ended up there because we have one other brother, but he escaped that particular episode that we experienced.
Okay.
Totally. He was raised by another family.
So you went to the orphanage, and how were you treated there? This was what, back in the 60s, right? Was it the early
60s? Yeah. Let me see. I was born in 1944, so let me see. Probably late 40s, probably 51, 50, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyhow, they separated my brother. They separated my brother and I because I'm older than he is. So next morning, I do remember this. He was clinging to a chain link fence, wanting to, to touch me, to make contact, and we weren't able to do it. But you asked the question how we were treated. They were very strict, very, 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 very strict. But I don't recall having any abuse by them at all. Yeah, but they were, and that orphanage, no, not as an orphanage, but the structure's still there. It's on Friars Road, and it's a old Catholic mission.
What was it called? Do you remember?
My brother does. I don't.
Okay. Do you still keep in contact with your brother?
Oh yeah, we see him almost every weekend.
Oh, nice. That must have been pretty traumatic as a child.
Able
to touch him, talk to him.
Yeah, very, very, very traumatic. It was, and you wonder why this alcoholic is so inferior, or not inferior, but feels insecure. I wonder why. It started right there. It started right there.
You got out at what age, you think?
Yeah, I probably got out at age 8.
Okay. You got out of the orphanage at 8.
Yeah. And that's when he, shortly thereafter, he returned us to Texas. And the one person helping kidnap us, nowadays by the penal code, is called child stealing.
Right.
But it was my uncle. He was a really, really, really neat guy. But my dad took us in a dump truck, and we rode in the back of the dump truck from Texas to Chino.
Wow. And what happened when you got to Chino?
Well, he enrolled us in school. I recall going to school. Yeah, he enrolled us in school and started going to school at whatever grade that was, probably first grade, second grade, something like that, or kindergarten, because we also went to school at the orphanage.
Okay.
Yeah, my brother and I were talking about that the other day because we were there at least a couple Christmases, and they used to give during Christmas they used to give my brother uh, toys for females because his name is Guadalupe, and they assumed it was a female. He was a female,
Oh man.
but yeah. So, but this is interesting. When they gave us the toys every year, we had to return them.
You had to return the toys to the
Yeah,
orphanage?
yeah, yeah,
You would get it for
yeah.
Christmas? Did they say Santa Claus was coming, or they just told you that?
Uh, no, I don't remember the Santa Claus part.
You, you,
No, but
you had to return them when you left the orphanage?
no, every year.
So how long were you able to hold on to the toys for?
I don't remember. It wasn't long at all.
And they took them back.
Yeah, and then I remember we used to perform on stage. That's why my brother is that way. But anyhow, he tells a lot of jokes. But anyhow, we had to perform on stage, and one of the songs that we did together, how much is that doggy in the window?
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, how much is that doggy in the window? Arf, arf.
Yeah, like that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it
So
was.
what happened after that? So you're moving on after the orphanage and going back to Chino and getting your teen years. You ended up enlisting into the military, or were you drafted into the Vietnam War?
No, 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 no. What happened? I already spent one tour, not in Vietnam, but in the Marine Corps. I was on the tip of the spear for the Cuban Missile Crisis blockade.
Okay.
I was 18 years old and a month. I was barely 18, and our unit, of course, a lot of other units, we were the tip of the spear. When they said it's time to hit the beach, we're going to hit the beach and probably get annihilated, of course.
Yeah.
But so I turned 17 in 2 days, quit school. I tell you, we just couldn't even afford a pair of shoes, Mike.
Really?
We were so abject poverty. I couldn't even afford a nickel for paper. And so, and I know some people probably had it even tougher than that, and they made it through school, but we just didn't. The highest that I went to school at the time was 3 months of the ninth grade, El Paso High School.
Oh, wow.
And my brother, the first sergeant, he went seventh grade was his last grade completed.
Oh, and so you enlisted into the military, to the Marine.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so after that, you ended up found yourself in Vietnam, though, right?
No, not yet. After Cuba, I was 18 in Cuba. Of course, nothing happened, thank God. We returned by task force size to Camp Pendleton. We hit the beach at Camp Pendleton as part of an exercise, but we were back from Cuba. And after that, and then I spent the 4 years, 13 months or 12 months that included Okinawa in the Far East. So I did that, then got out at, then I became a postal clerk after I was a grunt. I became a postal clerk and nothing went bad there. I was a good boy, good Marine and everything. And when I was sorting mail as a postal clerk, I saw mail that said, I always wanted to be in a recon Marine. I saw mail that said, addressed to Joe Blow, whatever, that said fourth, like number 4, 4th Force Reconnaissance Company, USMCR, go join the reserve unit. And I did. I found some letters addressed to 4th Force Reconnaissance, which was the elite of the Marine Corps, still is. And I said, well, shit, I'll get out and I'll join that unit. And I did. I got out of the Marine Corps, did 4 years, 4 months, active duty. No trouble, no problems, no drinking, none of that stuff. I drank, but there was sporadic, like a total of maybe 4 or 5 times in 4 years. that I drank. So I went and joined up with 4th Force Recon. They sent me to jump school at Fort Benning, and returned to the unit. I graduated from jump school, returned to the unit, and then a few years later, I volunteered for Vietnam.
Wow. All
Yeah.
right. So you went there, and you ended up obtaining a Purple Heart there. You're a decorated war veteran.
Well, yeah, I did. I arrived in Vietnam. It was like a dream come true. I always wanted to be in reconnaissance, a Marine reconnaissance, and when I arrived, I just felt at home. I felt at home, and there was this one platoon that was going to go out on an overnight mission, but they needed one more Marine to complete a 10-man patrol or for that mission, and I told them, "The hell, I'll go," and I volunteered again. So half measure avail does nothing, right?
Right,
So
right, all the way in, right?
all the way or nothing.
Yeah.
So anyhow, it was Lieutenant Ritchie, James Ritchie. I still remember his name. It was his platoon, and so we completed the 10-man member unit, and ended up doing the mission. Except it was not overnight; it was 2 nights. Anyhow, upon completion of the mission, I got wounded because they were trying to hit the helicopter, shoot it down, and bullets were hitting all over the helicopter. And dumbass me, I went to the window. The windows in Vietnam of the choppers didn't have glass at all,
No.
because they break them anyhow. So I went to the window to fire off a burst of a M16 small arms, and when one of their bullets caught me first.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did it hit you at?
Yeah. No, it didn't hurt.
Where did it hit you? What part of your body?
Right posterior knee, behind the knee. The part that hurt was the recovery, but the actual impact, it didn't hurt at all. It was about the size of a quarter, and the bullet stayed inside. So when I reached the medical facility, they of course take it out. Yeah. I think it was a fancy word they called debriding, debriding. Yeah.
Took the bullet out.
Took the bullet out. English.
So that was it for you at the war. They shipped you back home?
I tried to go back to Vietnam. And Dr. King, to remember his name, Dr. King, my attending physician, gave me a mild ass chewing. He said, "Sergeant Gonzalez, all you Marines think the same way. You guys have tunnel vision. That's all you can think about. So I'm going to pull your charge, but I don't want to hear anything that happened to you again, or you come back here. So I'm going to pull your chart." So he pulled my chart when I'd been there almost 2 months. So he pulled my chart because I wanted to go back to Vietnam. I wasn't done yet. So, so I got caught in, not caught, but I ended up as a midway point on Okinawa. And on Okinawa, I went to sick bay, of course, the next morning. And they said that my wound had not healed sufficiently or properly yet, because there was a high rate of infection in Vietnam.
Right.
They said, "No more war for you."
Oh.
No more war. And so I returned to the States, got assigned to the Provost Marshal at Marine Corps Air Station, what used to be Marine Corps Air Station. Provost Marshal is like the chief of police. And initially I got assigned to Accident Investigation Division. And then not upgraded, but I got promoted to CID trainee, Criminal Investigation Division trainee. Right. So I spent 69 and then 70.
And you also
were certified. And then got out again.
Then you got out again. And what happened then? Where'd you go?
I went back to my reserve unit, the recon unit. That's where I went. And I started drinking heavily shortly thereafter.
So that's career really started, right?
Oh yeah, that's when it really started. And I had a good mentor, good because he was a drunk also, but
Okay.
he was already school trained. He was journeyman. He was on his own, but he trained me, and he died in a head-on collision, drunk, and there's something in between there. He and I witnessed his wife get killed.
Witness his
Uh,
wife get killed. How did that happen?
Skydiving accident.
Oh, so you guys were skydiving and her parachute didn't open?
Correct. It got torn. We think it got torn by the tail of the airplane. And I already had jumped out. I already jumped out of that same plane. And I remember cute as a doll. She was very cute, pretty girl. Madeline, that was her name. I was putting the parachute on her, and she's looking at my jumpsuit. I already had it on, and my parachute was on already at Paris, here in Paris. And she was asking, Manny, Dave's birthday is coming up next Thursday or something like that. So do you know where I can get a jumpsuit just like the one that you have? And I told her how you can go about it and get it. They were in style at the time, Pioneer jumpsuits.
Okay.
And then she went on the airplane with all of us with a full load. But the guy, Bill Sherrars, to remember his name, he was the best way I can put it. He was clowning around with the airplane. He was the pilot. And he was putting too much, we think he was putting too much stress on the airplane and it fell apart.
The airplane fell apart.
Yeah, but not completely.
Yeah.
Parts of it, critical parts of the airplane came apart.
Okay.
And so it went into a nosedive, and we saw all that. Went into a nosedive, and then we saw one parachute open to the left of the airplane that was nosediving into the ground. And to the right, we saw what we consider to be a streamer. It was not open. That was Madeline.
Oh, no. So
that was Madeline. She landed, I'm going to guess, we all rushed over there. She landed probably about 100 feet from the airplane. So the airplane crashed, and they crashed with the airplane. Not with the airplane. They were outside of the airplane.
So the plane goes into a nosedive. It's crashing, and then Madeline's still in there, but you're already out, and so's her husband.
No, her husband stayed on the ground because he had a cold. No, the only people left when all of us jumped out was Madeline and the pilot.
And Madeline and the pilot ejected too, or he took the.
Yeah, because he was excuse me. Yeah, he was a experienced skydiver.
Wow. And so the plane crashed. She dies after jumping out of it. And
no, he didn't die. He got wounded severely on the neck.
Okay.
She died instantly.
Wow.
She fell from, I'm going to guess, 3,000 feet. I remember the date, March 7, 1970. I was still in the Marine Corps.
So was there an investigation afterwards with the plane crash?
Yeah, but the NTSB or whatever they call it. I think nowadays they call it the National Traffic Safety Board or something like that. And FAA, of course. And then they sued the owner of the airplane, who I knew well. But they got no money out of them because he had no insurance.
Wow.
Yeah, he had no insurance. So they hired the attorney, Dave's, that's his name, Dave Matthews. He hired an attorney, and the attorney hired a PI, retired cop, I think it was, and they scored zero because the Lyle Cameron, that was his name. He's dead also now. Lyle Cameron didn't have insurance.
Wow.
So you couldn't hit the deep pockets or anything.
Yeah, well, things have sure changed since 1970. I know that.
Oh, yeah, a lot.
So after that, I mean, we could do a whole podcast on that event itself. It's tragic, it's intriguing, and it's just you've experienced a lot. You continue to jump, and you continue to drink. So what was that like afterwards?
we did a lot of stupid things. I did intentional cutaways from my main functional parachute. Cutaway means that you release the main parachute, go back into free fall, and
Yep.
use the last hope you have, and that's the reserve. I did that twice, but I was drunk.
While you were jumping. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, I was drunk. I released it. So what you do when that happens, you fall for to get enough speed so your parachute, the reserve parachute, will open up and as quickly as possible. So that's what I did. I would fall. I would cut away from the main parachute. Then I went back into free fall, back to earth. In those days, now it's totally the opposite.
Yeah.
So I went into free fall and I pulled the reserve and of course opened up pretty high. I was probably 3,000 feet. I was what they call in the saddle. So that was stupid. So I did it at Lake Elsinore once and I did it at Paris once.
Wow. That's pretty dangerous, especially drinking also. And I know people are still doing it nowadays.
Oh yeah.
I've seen it on some videos I've watched and it seems pretty
Yeah. Yeah.
So this is like the early 70s. So you're drinking pretty much got out of control. And what led up to you deciding not to drink anymore, Manny?
Oh, a movie.
What movie was that?
Rita Hayworth. It was Rita Hayworth. It was called, I think, I'll Cry Tomorrow.
Okay.
Black and white movie. That was the main catalyst to my sobering up. In a moment of despair, I watched the movie. I did a few boo-hoo-hoos. Oh yeah, because I was good at the poor pitiful me.
Yeah. Were you? Yeah.
Yeah, poor pitiful me. But anyhow, so I watched that movie and I called Alcoholics Anonymous. Bob Gardner picked me up, white-haired guy. He had 5 years, took me to a noon meeting, and the rest is history.
Wow. So
never went back out.
So and that was what, 1970, 74?
1975.
75, you got sober. You've been sober for 46 years. And people listening to this, a lot of us that might have alcohol issues ourselves or possibly drug issues, that's a whole lifetime in itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd you maintain your sobriety all these years?
Going to meetings.
So going to meetings.
Going to meetings. Never had a sponsor, unfortunately.
No, but you've incorporated, and you haven't had a sponsor. A lot of times, especially with Alcoholics Anonymous, one of the suggestions is to get a sponsor and work the steps with a sponsor. Did you end up working the steps anyway by yourself? Is that what you did?
Yeah, as best as I could. But I like to say that even though I've never had an actual sponsor, that I have not had all the way through white knuckle sobriety. I had white knuckle sobriety in the beginning, of course. Who the hell doesn't? But I had white knuckle sobriety.
White knuckling it is basically a dry drunk.
Yeah.
The only thing that's changed in your life was that you stopped drinking, but nothing else has changed about your attitude, about your feelings of spirituality, emotions.
Well, that's changed for the better.
Yeah. Yeah. So after white knuckling it, you decided to, go all in on recovery itself.
Uh-huh.
And you met your wife?
Yeah. Oh, I met her in the sixth grade.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that was in 1958 or 59.
So you reconnected before you got sober, right? Before you got sober?
No, I was sober 10 and a half months. I reconnected after 2 marriages.
All right.
Yeah. After 2 marriages, which didn't last long. But of course, the current marriage is 45 years sober. And she does Al-Anon.
And Manny, I know I've known you for quite a few years, probably since 2015. We met you at a meeting in San Diego, the First Responder Fellowship, public officer fellowship in San Diego on Tuesday nights. and I think you started going back to that meeting. And I love everything you have to say. You are a pleasure to have at meetings. You know recovery very well, and I know a lot of people listening probably are trying to figure out how they can have a happy, good life and not drink again.
Yeah, well, that's you and I, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah,
one day at a time, right?
yeah, one day at a time. I pray in the morning. I pray at night. I pray.
You had a pretty good career since then too. I mean, you went into forensic document examination, right? You became and that's currently what you're doing right now.
Right, I've done that for about 42 years. I got trained by the Riverside Sheriff's Department.
Right. You've testified with San Diego PD and other departments.
Yeah, I've testified about 200 times as an expert. In fact, we just went to court today. I told you.
Yeah, how did that go?
Well, they paid me for it, but the other side didn't show up. They were supposed to show up, and the opposing side, and they never showed up. So they're going to reschedule that meeting. It involves actually one key point, whether once the two pieces of two documents, whether they're originals or copies. That's what it all hinges on.
Right.
So I went up there, but I testified in a full-grown, gnarly trial about a little over a month ago in Pomona.
Okay. And you're an expert at a forensic, so you're able to decipher if it's a forged document or a real document, basically, right?
Correct. Yeah, I received training by the FBI at their question documents school at Quantico, Virginia, and then prior to that, about 6 years before that, I attended the Secret Service question document course in Washington, D.C. as well, among a bunch of other courses, just a lot of them.
Oh, of course. You're very well known. If you guys look Manny Gonzalez up, he's very well known across the country with the forensics that he does. And I'm telling you, a sober man in sobriety like you are, you're a role model to all of us, because not only do you have those years of sobriety in a row, days in a row, 46, turning 47, you're able to spread the word of your experience, strength, and hope to others. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of tragedy in recovery, but also a lot of blessings too that have come across. And your wife too, she's been in Al-Anon the whole time. So she gets you, and you probably have a pretty good relationship. It's lasted quite a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the first 11 years, it was the marriage from hell. Yeah. But now she's been in Al-Anon 30 some years.
Well, what would you say to someone that's struggling and that wants to be able to maintain sobriety? What can you offer? Any kind of advice to somebody that's out there listening?
Stay close to the program. Stay close to the program. I had to get rid of my ego. One person described ego as not only edging God out, but my ego is not my amigo.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, but I just said it was out of perspective when I was drinking, the ego.
Yeah,
and now it's thank God it's in check today, and that's which includes humility and on through Alcoholics Anonymous. Stay close to the program. And just don't drink no matter what, with the tools of the program. Definitely get a sponsor. I know I have not had one, but definitely, without a doubt, I highly recommend it. My wife and I are somewhat of an exception. She's never had a sponsor, but she has a really strong program. And I've never had one, although I asked one guy many years ago, of course, 45 years ago, and Jim Myers, and he said, Manny, I'll be your friend, but I can't sponsor you for whatever reason. He didn't want the responsibility.
It is.
I
It's
guess.
a lot of responsibility for sure.
Yeah. But that's it. Stick close to the program.
Well, I know, and everybody listening, I know Manny does not like to talk a lot about himself. He talks about his recovery and his program. I like what you said, because I see you at least once a week on the Zoom first responder meetings we have together. And I like how you say that you used to be interested mostly in Manny, and now you're interested in other people. So I'm really happy that you're able to come on the show and talk a little bit about yourself and share a little bit about your life story and what got you to this point right now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add? So now that you're doing this and you're doing the deal, is there anything else that you want to add before we close out?
Yeah, Nito, I like to add a thought that was quite recurring when I first sobered up, and that is that I had to isolate myself. I had to go to the hinterland and not interact with any human being whatsoever. I wouldn't be able to work. I could not be productive, and nothing. Like they said in Orange County where I sobered up, if I made a list back then, I used to go around the meetings. If I made a list of what I expected out of sobriety, I would have shortchanged myself mucho, mucho, mucho.
Really?
I would have. That doesn't happen. If we practice the principles of the program, we'll become productive.
Yeah.
Become productive, and the stripes of the zebra are removed, and the dots from the leopard are removed. And that's my deal that I've experienced. And it is not a my program, or it's a we program for me. All of us as a team, God could and would if he were sought.
That is great. And remove the masks, remove the stripes and the spots. And I think probably, be true to yourself, and honesty probably plays a big role in that too.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. Exactly. Cash register honesty and self-honesty.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
both of those. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what? I bet your family is really super happy. I bet you a lot of your family members never seen you drink.
My wife never has.
No.
My kid never has. No, they haven't, because I had 10 and a half months sobriety, and there was a big gap between the last time I saw my wife up until we got married, like a 10-year gap or something like that, which I was drunk.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
She's never seen me drink at all. I just didn't see him then.
Yeah. And in all those years, you've faced a lot of tragedy in your life personally, and you didn't have to go back to drinking. You chose not to drink over it.
That's correct. Higher power.
That's all about the higher power. Okay.
Yep.
I'm sure a lot of your family members are going to be listening to this too. Anything you want to say to anybody in your life right now?
My wife.
Okay.
She's my Florence Nightingale, because I've had a lot of medical issues.
Yeah.
And she takes so good care of me. She's just it's totally the opposite of what it was for the first 11 years. Totally the opposite. You know what? She'd never been married before, but I had twice. So I had history, and she could not deal with the history. And now she accepts it.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
She's your rock, it seems like.
Yeah, but don't drink no matter what. I remember in Orange County, they used to say, if you think you're going to drink, go to a policeman who's directing traffic and punch him in the face. You'll end up locked up. You won't drink. Now, that was the days when it's hard to get booze and drugs into jails.
Right.
Today, that may not apply, but it was a figure of speech anyhow. Yeah. It was a figure of speech, willing to go to any length to stay sober. And then, go hit the police officer. Well, I think being a former cop myself, I think it's a felony just to hit him with a fist, isn't it? Something like that. What?
Manny, I don't know nowadays. Everything's so upside down.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
but it's not good advice today.
No, it depends if you do it in LA County or LA itself. So I think.
Yeah.
So anyway, I love you, man. I really do appreciate seeing you all the time, and I'm glad that you're able to share your story with us. I learned a lot, and I think I feel a lot closer to you, and I think people listening are going to get a lot out of this. And I really thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank your wife, your beautiful your bride that stands by you and helps you out and has been with you through thick and thin. You guys have a beautiful life together. So thank you, Manny.
You bet. And thank you for what you've done as well. Again, it's a WE program, and you've brought this podcast on as well as our Zoom meetings.
Yeah. That's what
we're grateful for. We're very, very grateful for that. No doubt about it.
I am too. It's all about connection. It's all about connection and staying connected with each other, because we can do this alone. All of us can do this alone, but we don't have to. And that's a blessing for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, my friend. Well, everybody listening, thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you next time.
Okay. Yeah. See you, Mike.
Thanks for listening to Positive Connections Radio on the Mental Health News Radio Network. If you're having issues, you can do it alone. However, you don't have to. It takes courage to ask for help. How can we be there for others if we're unwilling to be there for ourselves? So until next time, be strong, stand up, speak your truth, and break the stigma.